No.
All right, it is 5:30 p.m. and I now call to order the Grand Island Public Schools Board of Education meeting. This is the December 10th, 2020 meeting. Notice of this meeting has been advertised in the Grand Island Independent, which is the district's designated method of giving notice of these meetings. We want those in attendance to know that copies of the Open Meetings Act are available at the entrance to the boardroom. And if anyone in attendance is interested in addressing our board, you're welcome to do so. We simply request that you complete the appropriate form and turn it in to us now so that you may be recognized during the public forum part of our meeting. And these forms are also located by the entry doors of this room. Mrs. Simmons, will you please call the roll?
Mrs. Hinkle,
Present.
Dr. Brose,
Present.
Mr. Mayfield,
Present.
Mr. Brown,
Present.
Ms. Wolf, Mr. Barsonis,
Yes.
Mrs. Inc., Mrs. Albers, Mrs. Gordemaker.
Here.
Okay, thank you. So for our mission statement tonight, I'd like to do something a little different, and hopefully Kelly and Tim and Julie, you have your agenda open, and the three of you could read the mission statement together. Would you like to do that for us? All right. Yeah.
Okay. Ready? Turn your mic on. In every day, a success. In educating students, we teach hearts as well as minds. Within the Grand Island Public Schools, every student will be taught to read, write, and communicate effectively, solve problems, acquire and apply knowledge, and demonstrate mastery through performance to the best of the student's abilities. Every student will be treated with fairness and dignity. Every student will be honored for their unique qualities and backgrounds. Every student will develop a sense of belonging, contribution, and success, and every student will develop responsibility and show respect for others as well as oneself.
Thank you. I think that was the best it's ever been done. All right. Agenda item number 4 is the public forum. And we do have a speaker tonight. And so you can come up and you'll have 5 minutes. And I think you read the outlines there. So if you want to introduce yourselves and let us know why you're here.
Okay, my name's Dan Harvey, and I'm a parent of a Seedling Miles student. So just first of all, I probably won't take the whole 5 minutes, so you guys can get out here maybe a little earlier tonight. Just basically, you guys cannot hear this enough from parents or the public or anybody, but thank you so much for, keeping the kids in school. Last month was obviously a really, really tough month for the community, and it was great to see how few kids, or, how low the numbers were in the school. And, I think that speaks volumes to the, the protocols that you guys have been put in place since the start of the year. And to be able to keep the learning going in person with the community numbers just as high as they were. So, thankfully that looks a little better, hopefully this month, and be kind of exciting to see what the pandemic response report says. But also wanted to say thank you for voting last month to update the HVAC system. I found that very fascinating. Hopefully that'll be helpful, not only now, but there'll be flu seasons every year, and hopefully that'll help cut down the number of cases of the flu and stuff in the future. So, and of course, the pandemic response team can't get enough thanks either. So thank you to all them for their hard work. And also a thank you to Dr. Grover for doing the Facebook Lives. That's been very helpful this year with keeping parents informed on stuff. And, I see lots of comments going when they do that, and kind of look forward to the next one whenever that is. So. And, my wife and I had gotten an email today about the updated quarantine policy, and I know you guys are not changing that now. I think that's probably very prudent considering Christmas is coming up very shortly, and it'd be pretty hard to kind of get protocols in place to address the lunchtime situation. Hopefully in the in the coming months. I know this will take some planning and some thought, but hopefully it would be nice if you were able to get that down to be able to match the 7-day quarantine, considering, that the students are already wearing masks in the classroom and stuff. If we could figure out some way to maybe kind of keep that group of students isolated from some of the other students at lunchtime and keep them socially distanced from each other, I think that'd be, a great thing. I realize that's very logistically challenging, some schools more so than others, but that's kind of why I say I kind of put that as a challenge before you. And down the road, one thing I would really like to see as a parent is if we could, maybe if there was a way to figure out how to have the kids socially distanced at PE time. And I know when they're exercising, that goes up from like 6 feet to maybe like 15 feet, I think is a number I've heard. So that could be challenging. It may not be practical, but like I said, I kind of put that forth as a challenge, maybe, in the spring and like March or April, hopefully if the numbers are lower in the community. Like I said, just after the month we had, I know now it's not a good time to be changing that stuff. But and the other thing would be like maybe at outdoor recess too, would be if there could figure out a safe way to have the kids not be wearing masks at outdoor recess. Obviously, we're not probably going to be having outdoor recess a whole lot in the next few months. So, but I know all this stuff takes a lot of planning and a lot of time. So I would think, now would be maybe the time to be thinking about that stuff going forward. So, and then I do have one question. I know you guys don't answer questions right now, but when you guys do bring up the 2021 school calendar, I was kind of curious on how the snow days were going to work for 2021, but that's all I had. Thank you very much.
That, Dr. Grover, was there anything you wanted to share, or just that you'll take that back? Okay. And when we get to the 2021 calendar, we'll be sure to highlight that as well, the snow days. I would just say it's interesting you would say that about the mask and the outdoor recess, because just yesterday I sent a text to all the board members, because I live a block away from Star Elementary, and I was sitting outside on the deck since it was so nice, and their squeals and laughter were so awesome. And so even with the mask on, they find a way to enjoy themselves. So, but I agree, things will keep changing, so. All right, we'll move to agenda item number 5, which is the consent agenda. 5.1 is the minutes from the previous month's meeting. 5.2 are the claims as submitted. 5.3, staff adjustments as submitted. 5.4, treasurer's report as submitted. 5.5 are the policies, and we have, sorry, I moved too far. 4320, rentals and service charges on final read. 8660, field trips and extended co-curricular trips on final read. 6313, staff payments during closure, first read. 6335, injury leave on first read. And 8312, excessive absenteeism on first read. 5.6 are the contracts and memorandums of understanding as submitted. 5.7 is approval of the agenda as submitted. Sorry, back up here. This is the consent agenda as published. Is there any questions or removals? Ms. Wolf.
I recommend to approve the consent agenda as submitted.
Second, Mr. Barsonis. Any discussion? Please vote. Okay. Now, 6 is special recognition, and tonight we get to recognize some very special people. They've been with us on this side of the table, and I just wanted to share this first of all. There's lots of definitions of what a servant leadership is, or servant leader, but this one I've always liked. Servant leadership is a philosophy and a set of practices that enriches the lives of individuals, builds better organizations, and ultimately creates a more just and caring world. And I believe Mrs. Inc. and Mrs. Gordemaker and Mr. Mayfield are true servant leaders. And you have done a lot for children in a very, very difficult time of COVID, of racial inequities. And we are really going to miss you. And we know that we want to stay connected with you on committees and other ways. And we hope that maybe someday you'll all find your way back around the horseshoe, as we like to call it. And so we do have some gifts for you. And Michelle, if you want to help me hand those out. And then I would ask any board member that wants to say anything to go ahead and say something now.
I'll go first. I like to talk sometimes. When I was running unopposed back in the day, the first two people I met were Kelly and Heidi. And I was so nervous to attend the retreat that you guys were having because I was like, I don't know these people and they might be scary. You weren't, just so you all know. But Kelly was the one that, and Heidi, they reached out, they talked to me, they made me feel comfortable, they helped explain things to me, and I didn't feel as scared being a part of the group because I was like, oh, these people are actually nice. Okay. So I want to say thank you, Kelly, because it really did help shape me coming into the board as I kind of had an extended, I guess we'll call it, training since I was running unopposed and spent many a night in one of those uncomfortable chairs. So I do appreciate that, and thank you. Moving on to my 1983 fellow friend over here. Thank you so much for taking a chance and putting yourself out here. While I haven't gone through the appointment process, I went through it for the first time when you were appointed, and I thought it was the scariest thing. Why is that the theme? Sorry. Everything is scary. But I greatly appreciated your dedication and your thought process and all of your food. So please continue to do porch deliveries and please stay involved as well. And Tim, it's been fast and furious, and in 4 months, I feel like you have made a great contribution, and I do hope that you have the wonderful opportunity to come back and see us and stay involved, and you have a very melodious voice.
I always appreciate people who have attention to detail, because I don't have that. I'm very big picture. My husband has attention to detail, so I don't have to have it. But Tim, you just impressed me right away with the attention to detail that you had, and when you said that you did policy at the bank, I was like, this is a match made in heaven. And to have you on policy has been fabulous. And Erica's right, you've made a huge impact in a short amount of time, and you will not be forgotten. And I hope that you find your way back here. You're meant to be on the school board, and maybe your first tenure might be short, but your second tenure hopefully will be a little bit longer, and that's sincere. Kelly, my shoulder partner, I'm just gonna miss you. You are so good at the finance and the things that I hate, and and I know Virgil makes a pact with Bonnie to never put me on F&F, so but when I have a question, you're always able to explain it to me in terms I can understand, and I'm just gonna miss you, and you're just been a breath of fresh air, because we kind of came up together, we had onboarding together, and so I'm sad to see you go, but you've made a huge contribution, and you will be missed. And same goes. I hope I see you on some committees or back around the horseshoe, or just have us over, And Miss Julie, when you interviewed that night, your grace and was just so impressive to me. And we had met and talked, and I knew you a little bit, but that night you just impressed me so, because even though you might have been freaking out on the inside, you were just so calm and cool, and you've added so much to this board. You just have brought a light to the board, and we are going to miss you, and you're very insightful. Things that you would say, and even though I'm gluten-free, I always like to see what you were going to bring. So that's been a joy as well. So it's going to be, I feel like we had a winning team and we're losing 3 of our starters. And, but you will be missed, but not forgotten, any of you. So we hope to see you all again very soon.
Yes, for sure. Mr. Barsonis.
Thank you. And, I've been doing this for not too long, but now that other board members have gone, it's like now I'm being to be like in the middle of how long I've been here. But I always learn from all of you, and I appreciate really your heart and the non-binary thinking that you bring to leadership in a lot of the conversations that we have. And that's something that I don't think we get to see a lot in the public. We do a lot of work in our committees, but this ability to be able to say, I'm not sure what that means, or let me push back, or and there is no agree to disagree. There is a let's talk about it, let's figure it out, and the comfort and grace that you bring to push tough questions and tough issues. That's something that I appreciate in leadership, and I've learned a lot about all of you. Tim, we've known for a while, and you've been in one of the committees. I appreciate being able to ask the hard questions and not make anyone feel uncomfortable. So your heart, Julie, just the grace and empathy and just the way you bring things. We're gonna miss you. Kelly, again, same thing. Lisa, I'm with you. The attention to detail and being able to think. I don't know how you do it, because sometimes I'm like, how is that even a question? But really appreciate your leadership, and at the end of the day, the passion you have for public education. So thank you, thank you, thank you.
Well, I'm going to speak from the other side of it since I've been on the board such a long time. I will have to tell you 3, you've actually served probably at the hardest time that this board, since I've been on, so for 16 years, the hardest serving times that I know of. And I'm sure there was time before that, but obviously we've not gone through a pandemic, and you all joined us with that task of trying to figure this out. And I just really appreciate all of you've had to do to contribute to that. Tim, it seems like you've been on, to me, it feels like about 4 years. I mean, the amount of items we've had to address and the way you stepped in, and a lot of it is because you were already involved in the district. I think you just ramped up really quickly. Julie, obviously, same thing for you. I can't believe it hasn't been 4 or 5 years for you too. It was just one of those things. A lot of things have happened. And yes, I will personally miss the cookies, your service, and the recipes that you've shared, because I asked. And Kelly, starting, I mean, again, 4 years? It seems like 10. And again, I look forward to when you get to rejoin us again. I do feel like that's probably in the future. And I am honored to be able to fill your vacancy as you've stepped down. And I thank you all for your support. And like I said, all 3 of you have served the kids of this community well, and they're blessed by your service. So thank you.
I don't think I can say anything that hasn't already been said. I'm a lot like Heidi Schutz. When it comes time to say goodbye, I have a tough time with that. So thank you all for your service. We know where your hearts are. I'm going to tell a little story on Kelly. I remember when you were applying for this position, I kept waiting to hear that you had applied and applied and applied, and I kept calling, and I kept getting your answering machine. And finally I said, Kelly, the deadline's tomorrow. You need to get your name in. So I did work a little hard to get you on the board, because I thought after having worked with you at Westridge, you'd been a great member to be with. Tim, you just continued to amaze me on that PR and PD committee with your insight and the things you used to bring in that I'd go, why didn't I think about some of that? And Julie, you're amazing. I wish my daughter-in-law were ready to play tennis again. I know she'd enjoy that. But your mind works in a really neat way, and you always have kids in the best interest of the district at heart. And I'm going to miss that. So I'm going to miss all of you, but thank you for your service.
President Engel, if I may say a few words.
Sure, go ahead, Mr. Bartling.
Thank you. For everybody who, for Mrs. Gordemaker, for Mr. Mayfield, and for Ms. Ing, thank you so much for all of the service that you guys have done in the past years. Your guys' dedication to us, the student body, and to really everybody in the school district is just unmatched. And you know, it's been such a tough time these past few months and years. You guys have really stepped up and done the job that needed to be done. And I will for sure, the one thing that comes off the top of my head that I'll miss the most are the cookies. Thank you.
And just so everybody knows, the gift that Mrs. Gordemaker got is a serving tray with her name on it, because we thought that was pretty appropriate for all the cookies. Yeah. All right, so Dr. Grover.
Thank you, Mrs. Hinkle. I'm sort of like Dr. Burrows. I hope I can get through this. This board right here actually makes board number 5 for me. The board has changed 5 times, during my tenure. But I have to say that it is something special about this board. We've been able to stay unified, and I think it's because of the hearts that you bring to the work that is really all about the kids. And I want to thank you, Mrs. Inc. You always bring in that community-wide perspective, just to make sure that we don't miss a group of people and that we understand the impact. And I'm pretty impressed with all of the questions. I wonder, like, who can question Virgil the best? And so it's been great to have you, and just to have your insight is just remarkable. And Mrs. Gordemaker, I'll never forget the night that you interviewed. I was like, I know her, because when we were going through some tough times with elementary scheduling, you actually came to visit with me. And it holds true that even we had a meeting, we probably didn't agree at that particular time, but we worked through it. And as you indicated, your kids are having a great experience. But you sent me a thank you note. Like, after a meeting, she sent me a thank you note, and she continues to send cards. That is such, you just have a way of knowing when people need to hear certain things, whether that's encouragement or that's reinforcement. And even though your background might be different, I have been just so impressed with how you remind us of how we need to take care of students who may not be as advantaged. Thank you for your heart in the way that you think about our kids. I might lose 2 pounds, but with the cookies after I eat these 2 tonight. And Mr. Mayfield, wow. I thought that we were blessed when we got you on to our PRPD committee. You've never been shy, and you have helped us to understand the pulse out in the community. And I think it's important for us to have those perspectives. You're not scared to push back or to help us think in a different way. And you're going to be missed. I would have to say you elevated our committees instantly with questioning the way that we think about policy and just your added insight. So thank you so much for being willing to serve us, and and all of you for trusting Grand Island Public Schools with your children as well. And I hope and pray that you will continue to stay involved with us. So I'm sure all of us, our leadership, they may have something to say when they come up, but we just appreciate, we are very fortunate to have you all contribute to how we continue to serve our students. I will miss you so very much. It's been a dream team for sure.
All right, thank you. Well, so now would Mrs. Inc., Mrs. Gordemaker, or Mr. Mayfield want to say anything at this time? Okay, Mrs. Gordemaker.
Well, I feel like I've had a living funeral. with all these nice things you've said about me. It's been quite a journey. Who would have ever thought, when in July of 2019 that this is where we would be right now, wearing masks and spaced out. But you know what? There would be nobody else I'd rather go through this with. These are the brains and talent of Grand Island for sure. Every single one of these people is extremely dedicated, extremely smart, and just a wonderful person. And I'm going to greatly miss these nights, and I will continue to follow along with everything and hope that someday I can serve in the future. I know I've said this a lot of times, but our kids are just not quite right there yet with being able to take care of themselves and with our scheduling, and it's just not quite there. But I have been so impressed with Grand Island Public Schools, and I appreciate every single one of you.
Yeah, I thought I was going to be able to get through this, but I'm not sure I'm going to. If I appreciate each and every one of you and the such kind words. If you feel like I've been able to jump in and contribute in such a way, it's only because I've been able to follow in the example and the leadership that the rest of you have long set before me. This is just an amazing group of people. Your ability to lock arms instead of locking horns and move together as a group despite 9 different opinions and 9 different viewpoints and perspectives is amazing. And yeah, I will truly miss being up here with you guys. But not that much, because I'm not planning on going very far away. So unfortunately, if you were not entirely truthful, I'm not going very far. So I'll still be around. But thank you very much.
So I might try to, I might try to have 2 representatives from each ward and 3 representatives that are from the community as a whole, because then I could still sit here. So that was one of the things that we were empty nesters and we didn't need that big house anymore. So it was one of those things that we tossed and turned about, and I said, but I'm not ready to leave. So I held out as long as I could and made the construction project last longer and longer and longer. Usually you want that project done, but it's like, oh, I'll just live in this duplex for a little bit longer because we got to get this finished. Well, we're never finished. We just keep evolving. So this has been a great 4 years, and I've truly enjoyed every bit of it. It's been a lot of work. We built a stadium. We built some schools. We started the academies at Grand Island Senior High. We started a strategic plan. And we have a pandemic. So that's all happened during our tenure. And it's a great group of people to work with, and I'm honored to have Terry finish my time, and you might get stuck with me again sometime in the future. We'll just have to see. I love my gift. Let me show it off. I think these are still available if you guys would like to contribute to the stadium. They're beautiful, and not being from Grand Island, I have truly become an Islander. So, and anytime you beat the Mustangs is kind of a good day. So anyway, no, it's been great, and I love all of you. Thank you.
Thank you, Kelly. That's awesome. I wish we could end the meeting right here. But we do have some work to do, but thank you, all of you, again. Oh, it's just amazing. The comments that everybody said, we didn't coordinate those, but what I thought was amazing is that everybody said pretty much the same thing, but with their own little flair, but that just tells you what integrity you have as board members. So, thank you. All right, we will now move on to information items. 7.1 are campus highlights, the Academy of Medical Sciences Capstone experience. And some of this will be via Zoom.
Yeah, another live. See what you motivated us to do. So we have, three very special presentations. Before that, I would also like to thank our board members, Tim, Julie, and Kelly. You truly made us better, and we continue to learn from you and your leadership. And want to, thank you. Know that we can count on you if we ever need anything, and look forward to hopefully seeing you involved in the future. So we appreciate all of you for all of you've done. So what we're going to have tonight, we have 3 campus highlights. The principals are just like, I've got to be able to come in front of the board. They really miss this. They kind of like the opportunity to share their stories with you. So tonight we have 3 because we want to make sure we get all of our campuses in by June. To start off with, we have the Academy of Medical Sciences. They're going to share their capstone experience. And so what you're getting are a couple of documents that I think they're going to tell you about. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Schlegel and his team and let them move forward with their presentation.
All right, good evening, everybody. I really appreciate the time to be able to talk with you all about this experience that we have created and been able to connect with our students. We have, it's been a trying year, but an exciting year, and we just appreciate the ability to come and just share a brief explanation of what we've been able to accomplish. And so, joining me tonight, like Dr. Palmer said, my name is Mr. Schlegel. I'm the Academy Principal. Nikki Stoltenberg's on here as our Community Liaison. Megan Stone, our English teacher. Carly Herkett, one of our CTE teachers, as well as Maya Brown and Melanie Ceballos. And we're all just going to have a really, really short part of this, and hopefully just give you a snapshot of this really incredible experience that students have been able to have. And so really just wanted to start out with kind of where the vision started. As the Academy of Medical Sciences, we really look to give our students opportunities above and beyond obviously what they would get in a regular high school setting. And so we really wanted to create something special for our seniors to really, really send them out the door with the most relevant experience possible. So you can just kind of see in this PowerPoint, really our first bullet is how can we create an experience that's the most relevant possible to our students? How can we just create this experience beyond what they could possibly do? The second piece to the vision with this capstone course was how do we establish a connection between the student and our industry partners to increase the likelihood of future employment. That's been something that's just really been on our hearts and our minds of how do we facilitate those connections to not only give our students those meaningful experiences, but also really make this experience mutually beneficial, not only to our students, but also to our community. And so really establishing that connection between our kids and the business partners. And then finally, that's third bullet you can see, to ensure that students are college and career ready upon graduation. And we always look to our graduate profile as our guiding star, our North Star, if you will. And really this capstone course kind of really provides us a way to culminate what that experience looks like. We wanted to share a really brief timeline with you. It was a little bit scary when we put this course into our course guide last year in the midst of a pandemic, knowing that we would be leaning on our community so much. in order to accomplish what we did. And so you can kind of see here some of the highlights of our timeline in June. We're able to get a group of our business partners together to really pitch the idea of the course. June through August, you can see there commitment meetings that happen between myself and Nikki to really pitch our idea one-on-one with those community partners and really ask them for a commitment for this fall. Would you be able to host students on your campus and give them an experience to help them learn and to make those final decisions about what life after high school is going to look like? In September, we were able to take our students and match them with a community partner to actually go ahead and facilitate their work-based learning experience. And then you can see here December 2020, our culminating presentation with our community partners. And I had the pleasure to sit in a classroom today watching as the students talked about their SMART goals and hearing the conversations they had amongst each other with just the successes, the excitement that I heard in their voices, and it was just a really neat experience. And Carly and Megan, they're here as well, and they're going to talk with you just briefly about some of the nuts and bolts of the course. You've got the scope and sequence document from Dr. Palmer there, and that you can kind of look at with your own time. But yeah, Megan and Carly are going to just briefly talk about the blended nature of the course and what the course has looked like for our students. And so I'm going to turn it over to Megan.
Hi, so I'm going to talk about the blended aspect of this course, and I'm going to show you our Canvas page. Canvas is the learning management system that we utilize. And Greg, I don't know if you need to exit sharing screen.
Thank you, Mr. Schlegel. So I personally loved the AMS Capstone class this year. I had a very positive experience, and I know that a lot of my fellow classmates did as well. So I spent most of my time job shadowing Dr. Ryan Raymakers, who is an oncologist and hematologist at the Grand Island Regional Cancer Center. And I can definitely attest to the fact that this was an experience that I would not have gotten in the classroom. One of the big highlights was the emotional intensity of the oncology environment. It's life and death. It's cancer. So we talked about both hard and soft skills in the classroom, and I definitely learned through this experience that being a doctor requires stronger soft skills like communication, teamwork, interpersonal skills than I even thought. Another highlight, I didn't just learn about the doctor world that I was expecting. I was expecting to go see Dr. Raymakers and learn about his world, and I ended up spending time with nurses, pharmacists, other oncology doctors, and even social workers, which I actually found very interesting. And I thought it was really cool to see a lot of things that I didn't even expect to see that weren't really even in the job description, but it's just they all kind of interconnect. And so I thought that that was really interesting. And so finally, my work-based learning experience prompted me to conduct further research into the field I'm shadowing in. It definitely got me asking a lot of questions and got me on the computer and researching. So I've kind of been keeping up to date in a way with new chemotherapy being approved for hospital use and new general cancer research as well. And so I can say that my senior AMS capstone experience was a great use of my time, and I almost wish I could take it another semester. I thought it was awesome how all the students could kind of read, like you saw how those discussion boards were going. I'm, as a student representative, that's really valuable to me because I can see what my classmates are doing, kind of see how it's going for them, and kind of just get a good idea of not only what's going on with me, but what's going on with them since we don't meet every day. So it was a great experience overall.
Thanks, Maya. Melanie, you're up. Can you tell us a little bit about your experience? Awesome. Thank you, Maya. And I would love to give you all access to Megan and Carly's Canvas pages, because you could read pages and pages of student testimonials and just how impactful this has been for our students. You should have a handout with just a few more snapshots of student quotes and student learning. But I told Megan today, in my years of education, which are about 15, I have never been more excited about something than I am about this, because it's truly, it's just this beautiful, collaboration between school and community, and Nikki's role as the liaison, and it's truly a life-changing experience for kids. And so really, really excited to be part of that. And that's really our presentation. Does anyone have any questions for the kids, for the teachers, for myself?
Does anybody have any questions? Mr. Barsonis?
Just, again, very impressed, and I'm just reading the comments and the notes, and I'm reading the last comment on your page in the back of the student. So talk about real life in high school. You're doing, wow. I mean, pretty impressed at the life experiences you're getting. So thank you for stepping into that space. Thank you for doing what you're doing, and please keep pushing and let us know how's it going. Thank you.
Ms. Wolf.
This might be a weird question for the students. I was just curious in regards to this work-based learning opportunity. In your learning, did they go over like COVID protocols or stuff that would potentially be different compared to 2019?
Maya, do you want to take that one?
Sure, it cut out a little bit. Could you repeat it super quick?
I sure can. Wait, hold on. I'm sorry, wearing a mask, you know. I was just curious when you were going through your work-based learning, what maybe you learned in regards to because of the pandemic and COVID, if there was anything different in your learning compared to if you would have done this in 2019. They're still.
Sure, definitely. I mean, that was kind of stuff that we had kind of established before our work-based learning experience, that we were going to wear masks, that we were going to follow the protocol wherever we were. And so I really think that it's just kind of like pretty similar to school, just how, you know, we just went from, you know, not wearing masks to wearing masks to social distancing. It definitely did change the work-based learning experience a little bit because it introduced telehealth, which was really interesting to kind of get to watch Dr. Rainmakers do Zoom visits rather than in-person visits. I definitely think that that was a lot more time effective, but maybe it lacked a little bit of the communication, maybe things that would have happened if there were in-person visits, or things that would have been seen, or things that would have just happened a little bit differently. Yeah, that's kind of where I saw the change the most.
Thank you.
All right, any other questions? Thank you all for being here tonight, and it's very powerful to hear from both of you students and then seeing all these testimonials. It just, I think, validates for us that we are on the right track, and so we appreciate the staff, the teachers who are making this happen, and because we know it takes a lot of work to get it going, and thank you very, very much. All right.
Thank you, everyone. Appreciate you being here.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. I'm going to go on to are you ready for campus update number 2? I have Mr. Wait, start from the very beginning. Yes, Mr. Yeah, thank you for finishing my sentence. Yeah, I was trying to pull up and talk at the same time. It obviously does not work very well for me. So Mr. Bishop in Kinnickram, he's going to be sharing with you about their Mission Mondays. So, get this going. I don't know if we need to. No, he's not on Zoom. I have it. He's not on Zoom. I have a little video. Should have been clear, I guess. Oh boy. Yeah. There we go. Uh-oh. Well, that's weird. Let's try this.
Hello, my name is Rob Bishop. I am the principal at Kinnickram Elementary, and today I'm going to be sharing with you about our Mission Mondays. Mission Mondays is about intentional relationship building, student to student, teacher to student, and teacher to teacher. We have different missions each week for our students to complete and for our staff to complete. Mission Mondays is based on the book written by Sam Stecker and Mark Johnson, both current Nebraska school administrators. And it's really about purposefully building a positive school culture and climate weekly with interactions of students, staff, and all stakeholders. Supporting our board sure our students feel like they belong, that they're safe, that they're respected, that they're supported, and that they're important at our building, as well as building that positive culture amongst our staff. Example missions that we've had so far this year: do an act of kindness this week, say thank you to our lunch staff and supervisors this week, write a note or draw a picture for your teacher telling them something that they've learned. Examples of our adult missions: saying something positive about a student this week in front of their parents. Think of a simple favor that would make somebody else's day better and have a student help you complete that. And then write thank you notes to another staff person. Again, the missions aren't anything extravagant. They're designed to be simple to do, easy to complete, but to give all of our students and staff a place to start and helping to contribute to our school climate and culture. We wanted to be sure that we built some hype around the missions. We do have it posted on our bulletin board for students and staff when they walk in. We got all of our students' water bottles that say Mission Possible. And then every Monday morning we play the Mission Impossible theme song over our announcements and kind of prep the students on what the mission for the week is, and for our staff as well. This is my man, Jackson Cushing, and he is doing a great job of completing the weekly missions. He's a 5th grader at our school, a leader for our school. His video is a little long for this presentation, so I will be sharing it to the Connect Room Facebook page this evening. But it was great to get a student's perspective on what the missions mean to them and how they're building that climate within the classroom. We have tied our Mission Mondays into our reinforcement system, our classroom reinforcement system. Teachers are giving out dojo points or certificates for students when they complete the missions. They can also nominate students for a positive office referral, where they get to come down, ring the bell, they get a certificate from myself and a pencil. So again, just kind of building that hype and that reinforcement for being kind, being positive, treating others fairly, and doing things for others. We wanted to make sure that our missions also connected to our school-wide perception data. So we looked at our panorama data, what our students were telling us, and then designed some missions that would help improve those. So for our social awareness, we have a mission upcoming that's Haze and Praise mission. Again, just teaching students how to give each other feedback and compliments, and then everyone's welcome mission. And for the self-management, we're going to do a belly breathing mission where we teach students how to, when they're feeling anxious, how to relax, and a reset and relax mission. We also wanted to connect our missions to what we're seeing happening within our school and our school culture. So we look at our monthly discipline data and identify if there's any skills that we need to teach and reinforce through our weekly missions. We recently completed a mission that was about following instructions, where we taught kind of a school-wide language and had a mission: when an adult asks you to do something this week, look at the person, say okay, and do it right away. So we really want to keep our missions fresh and relevant to what is happening in our building. Our next steps with our missions: continue to use data to select missions, have our 3rd through 5th grade students submit possible missions for students and staff to complete, and have that high rate of reinforcement of our positive school climate through communication, whether it be communication with parents or communication on social media, and direct feedback to our students. If you have any questions about Mission Mondays at Connect Room Elementary, please feel free to reach out to me. Have a great evening.
All right, that was awesome.
Yeah, just some really cool things. I actually got to ring the bell one day. That was my exciting visit, and I got my picture taken. So I think I'm on the board somewhere at Connect Room, celebrating some of their Mission Mondays.
Cool.
So our last one is of Howard Elementary, and so Julie Schnitzler and their SECL coach, Kathy Schack, are going to be sharing with you some information about their positive support plan. And interesting.
Taylor, principal at Howard Elementary, and I'm here with Kathy Stuck to share about our school-wide positive office referral program. Our program directly ties to our district's 7th goal to increase the percentage of students self-reporting growth mindset, self-efficacy, self-management, and social awareness. For a second consecutive year, we have implemented a school-wide positive office referral system to recognize students who have been safe, respectful, and responsible at Howard Elementary. We have made some improvements from last year, and Mrs. Shuck will explain the program and our data. Mrs. Shuck.
Hello, and thank you for the opportunity to share this morning. Positive praise helps students focus, is motivating, and helps establish positive relationships between students and teachers. We know from research we can reach over 90% covered with this positive strategy, along with the other Tier 1 strategies. We hope to see a decrease in negative office referrals from this implementation, and our data shows this is being accomplished. The goal of the program is for each teacher and our staff member to hand out one positive office referral per week to any student who is being safe, respectful, and responsible. The teacher completes the form and gives it to the student. The student detaches and puts part of the form in a special box and takes the remainder home to parents. Mrs. Sturgill and 5th grade representatives record the names of the students earning positive office referrals each week, and the principal shares a Zoom link for teachers and students to watch each Monday or the first day of the week at 7:55. The 5th grade students read the names of each student who earned a positive office referral the previous week. Mrs. Sturgill and our 5th grade student leaders create the data to display in the cafeteria. And you can see from the screenshot the picture of the positive office referrals in the cafeteria and the picture of the actual positive office referral. When comparing the data from 2019-20 and 2020-21 school year, during the months of September and October, the number of positive office referrals teachers have handed out has increased percent. During the same time frame, the number of negative office referrals decreased by 82%. Oh, wow. During the month of October of 2020, the Howard teachers averaged 83 positive office referrals per week. This is approximately 2 per teacher, which holds our goal. So we're really excited about that. Go Huskies.
And we've also shared a link with you that's a video of our students. Every Monday, the 5th grade student leaders announce the students' names who received the positive office referrals for the previous week. We use a Zoom link so teachers can join and all kids can hear. And their 5th graders read all the names of the students who received the positive office referrals. This is new this year. Our 5th graders are taking ownership and are learning quickly how to present and continue to encourage their peers to be safe, respectful, and responsible at Howard Elementary. So please watch the video to see our students in action. Thank you.
Okay, I really hope this works because it was working for me earlier, but the way things are going. Let's see if we can get him up.
Olivia, Labor twice, Maria, Melissa, Hector, Araceli, Liliana, Asiel, Franklin, Keisha, Million, Kevin, Welcome back, Calvin. I hope you have a great Tuesday.
All right, another great day of learning for the Howard Huskies. Happy December. We have some days prior to our winter break, and so we want everybody to be working hard and learning their best and stay safe, wear those masks, be safe, respectful, responsible. Welcome back.
Bye.
All right. So those are our campus highlights for the month of December.
So when she said the percentage of office referrals positive that went up, it kind of broke out. Do you happen to know what the percentage was?
I'll check on that.
Okay.
Yeah.
But the impressive part was that 82% reduction
Yeah,
in
and
negative.
that was something that they were really excited about.
That's amazing.
You know, the more that they were consistent with that, they're really striving for that 5-to-1 ratio, positives to negatives, and by recognizing kids. What she said she's noticed is the biggest difference is the kids taking ownership of it. So when these fifth graders are the ones that are doing the announcements, they are also the ones that are saying good job to the kids in the hallways and when they see them out
cool.
at recess. And so they're really promoting that type of behavior. So it's pretty cool to see them.
And Mr. Barsonis, I know this is where your kids go. Oh,
I thought you were calling on the line. I'm like, no.
no, but I know this is, your kids go there, right?
Actually, they're in Jefferson.
They're in Jefferson, okay. Okay,
Now she's ninth grade.
okay. All right. Okay, so Ms. Webb.
Thank you for printing front and back. Because that's, you know me, I like front and back printing, so whoever printed, thank you.
You're welcome. Awesome.
All right, any other questions or comments? Okay.
Thank you.
We will move on then to 7.4, which is the Families First Coronavirus Response Act. Mr. Stelk.
Good evening. Before I get started, Kelly, Julie, Tim, as I was listening to the comments earlier, a lot's been said about the impact that you've had on students with your vision and your empathy. As I was sitting there and thinking about that, I got to thinking, nobody's talking about the impact that you as board members and all of our board members have on the employees within the district. And I just wanted to acknowledge that as I've worked beside you and got to know you a little bit, some a little bit better than others just because of length of time. But the one thing that's always impressed me is that you've always clearly put the needs of our staff at one of the really highest priorities. And it's never been more evident than during this last 9 months or so when we've gone through the pandemic. Your concern for our staff's financial and benefit security, your concern for their social emotional well-being, your willingness to do some things that might normally in the normal course of business might be considered unthinkable almost, give people an extra few days off with pay. Those types of things were just so impressive and so valuable to our staff. And beyond that, the role models that you've been and the integrity with which you've carried yourselves, that really sets the foundation for our district culture and has made our jobs, that much more effective because of the examples that you've set. So I just want to say on behalf of, 1,600 employees, if I could be so bold to say thank you for your service and what you've done. So, okay, on to the task at hand. I want to visit with you a little bit about the Families First Coronavirus Response Act. And if you recall, shortly after the pandemic hit in March, the federal government did pass the FFCRA, which required employers to provide a certain level of paid leave benefits to employees who were unable to fulfill their job responsibilities because of either having symptoms of the coronavirus or being positively impacted, affected, of having the virus, or in some cases, those impacts were due to them having to stay home and take care of their kids because of daycares being closed or schools being closed and having to stay home to provide that at-home learning. So this FFCRA required employers to provide a certain level of paid leave benefits, which for us as a district to comply with that, we did have to come forward. And in the months of March and then July, we passed, or you approved several resolutions that gave the superintendent special discretion and authority to extend those additional paid leave benefits to staff as we then progress through the year. The FFCRA does expire on December 31st of 2020, so just another couple of weeks that will expire. So that's raised the questions in a lot of people's minds, well, what's the federal government going to do with the expiration of that act? Is it going to be extended or will there be something in its place? And then based upon what happens there, what do employers do? What kinds of obligations or responsibilities do we have, or do we just go back to the old way of doing things? And which potentially could be quite concerning to our staff because now all of a sudden they're burning through their sick leave when they have to stay home at our direction to comply with a quarantine or an isolation order or to take care of sick in-home family members, that type of thing. So it's become clear to us, at least at the present time, the federal government is going to let the FFCRA expire. So in looking more closely at our resolutions, it's been, gosh, it seems like 20 years ago, but it's just been a couple of months that we passed those. To the, I guess, the foresight of the board and good advice from our school attorneys, those resolutions were not set to expire at the time that the FFCRA expires. So the current practice that we have to continue to provide paid leave benefits for folks who are unable to fulfill their job duties due to an absence related to the coronavirus or the pandemic, that is good through the end of the current 2021 school year. So for the expiration, in case of what do we do now that this law is expiring, we don't have to do anything. The language in the last resolution that was passed says that it will require, or it will take a action by the board to change the current practice prior to its expiration at the end of the current school year. So in other words, if we want to continue doing what we've been doing, we don't do anything. We can continue to monitor, and if the vaccine arrives early, and if the vaccine is much more effective than they're predicting, and if we have no more virus come February or March, a simple motion and action by the board at any given time could put us back to our regular course of business. But that's a pipe dream right now, or that's a wish. We don't know that that's going to happen. So from district administration's perspective, we believe that certainly we're kind of right. We can see the light at the end of the tunnel, but it's also, the wind's still blowing and it's storming like crazy out there. So, going back to the importance of providing, support for our staff, contributing to their, mental health well-being by not, taking their income and benefit security away from them. We'd like to see, our current practice just kind of stay in force. Requires no action from the board to do so. We'll continue to monitor, bring information forward to the board as necessary. At any point in time, things change and we feel that, we would need to discuss some type of change to what we're doing, we can do so. Otherwise, it will expire. Our current practice will expire at the end of the 2020-21 school year. So just wanted to kind of give you that information because I know that, there's some people out there talking about, well, what's going to happen with the government? What if the government does? What if the government doesn't? So I just wanted to give you folks enough information to be able to maybe respond to those questions and kind of understand what options we did or didn't have, or what action we did or didn't need to take right now. So I'd be happy to answer any questions that you have.
All right, does anybody have any questions? Dr. Brose.
I don't have a question, Mr. Stelk. I just would like to remind the rest of the board that the Personnel Committee did meet earlier midweek to discuss the fact that this law was going to expire at the end of December, and that the committee would recommend, along with your recommendation, that we do nothing until such time that it's more prudent to do something.
Correct. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments? Okay. All right, appreciate it. Thank you. 7.5 is the construction update. Mr. Petch.
Thanks, Mrs. Hinkle. I want to give an update on a couple projects. Had a construction meeting at ELC earlier this week. Progress is moving along real well. They're framing the walls, they're getting the underground in, all those things that you don't see when the building's done, really. They also got the storm shelters in place, which is something they had to do in the very front of the project because it's actually towards the back of the building. So it was quite an undertaking to get those couple rooms in place, block walls with the precast on top, and then they can then fill in everything else and build around that. So good progress so far. Also talk a little bit just about the GPS project, otherwise known as the needle point bipolar ionization. Good news, we're actually going to kick that off starting on Monday, and we're going to hit it really hard during the holiday. Hope to get about 50% done by the time we're back in school, if not more. So really going to move hard on it. Our goal is to try to be complete before spring break. Some of it just has to do with access, where we can get in. That's why we're going to take advantage of the holiday and do what we can and get as much as we can. So with that, I'll conclude my comments and I'll answer any questions you might have.
Anybody have any questions? That's very good news about the needlepoint ionization.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. 7.6, Mr. Bartling, will you give your student report?
Yes, thank you all very much. Well, my student report kind of changed overnight. Most of it stayed the same, but I figured I'd explain a little bit as to where I am. I'm joining you all virtually tonight for a somewhat obvious reason. A member of my household has tested positive for the virus. And as such, I'm taking the utmost precautions to prevent further spread. I'm following all the school guidelines. I did not attend school today and won't pretty much up until after the Christmas break. So my family and I remain in good health and spirits, and we're looking forward to the day we can leave the house again. Please treat Kendall Sr., who is standing in for me today at my spot, with the same amount of respect that you treat me. Just joking. And with athletics, recently wrestling, girls and boy basketball, those both recently started. It's winter sports, and that started here within the past few weeks. Coaches, players, trainers, and everybody else pretty much are following the guidelines that the Dr. Grover sent to the media. And right now the policy is the 2 immediate family members for home and visitors. So we are allowing visiting teams to have those 2 immediate family members come along, which I think is very, very good. With the swim team, just because of the capacity and everything else at the YMCA, we cannot have any spectators, but it's nice that the parents are working as staff so that, they still get to see some of the action and, we still are able to cooperate with all of those guidelines. All of our home events this winter are live streamed. A message I'd ask to pass along is that the work of the GIPS IT department, Kelly Mayhew, Josh Planos, and the Academy of Business and Communication students, as well as Mr. Holton, which is the teacher for that. You guys have put in a lot of work and it's very, very much appreciated. Parents, grandparents, and community members can enjoy watching Ish compete and do other miscellaneous things, including concerts, thanks to the hard work that all of you guys are putting in. In other news, One Act performed at Lincoln High last Saturday. They did very, very well. They were very, very happy to go out as a One Act play and still perform, given that across the country, the uncertainty of play, drama, and theater in general is in such jeopardy. We're just so glad that we were able to go out and do something like that. And lastly, the entirety of the Ish administration team and Ms. Charity Labrie, which is the finance director, appreciate the communication that the entire district has been given during this pandemic, as well as the pandemic team. The leadership and guidance is very much appreciated. Next item is regarding the Unity Council. The Unity Council met last Thursday and this Thursday, so today, to get our action item, which is the stories for the Grand Island Senior High, up and running. Members of the council, including the administrators and facilitators, have provided their stories through the same program that we're doing with the students and staff in general, for the launch of this sort of project when we return from Christmas break. If any members of the board or Superintendent Dr. Grover are interested in sharing a quick story on their diversity and how diversity has affected their education and work life, please reach out to me after the meeting so I can get you the link. I feel that your guys' stories all together as a board and as board members and as the superintendent could really help out with getting good examples and good stories for our project. Our hope is to start publishing stories on various platforms beginning after our return to break, and then we will reevaluate and see what else we can do towards our goal of building relationships and helping to unify the student body. NHS very recently, National Honor Society, had a blood drive. It was very, very successful. Everybody followed the protocol set in place by the Red Cross and by NHS, and we got a lot of donations, and we impacted a lot of lives with all that we were able to do there. And I think that's a pretty great example of wearing purple but being gold. So, and then second to last thing I wanted to bring up is music. We are coming up on what would normally this time last year, I'm pretty sure almost to the day, I was getting dressed for my concert. And it looks like it would have been the same day this year. So if we would have had a concert, I would not have been able to be here tonight. Thankfully, with the requirement to have a virtual concert to reduce the risk of COVID, we have a little bit of more flexibility with our performance. And thankfully, we have multiple tries to get it right instead of one shot, one opportunity. That's really the silver lining here. As I understand it, the practice of recording a performance for online publishing and viewing is going to continue past COVID-19, and it will serve as an opportunity for parents, family, and friends to view the performances on their own schedule wherever they may be, because sometimes, people can't come from across the state just to watch a single concert. It's really nice to have that second option. I was originally going to play a short excerpt from a concert that has been recorded already. I guess this is a question for Mr. Gearhart back there. Can I still share that through Zoom? Is that still going to work, or will audio come through?
He said yes.
All right. So I will go ahead and get that concert up here really quick. You'll have to give me a second. All right. All right. So I'll just play this one short song for you, and then I'll continue on with the rest of my report. woke up with no taste or smell, which was very, very interesting. Recognizing the situation, I sought out a test as soon as possible and had a result back early that afternoon. I tested negative through a rapid test, but I was still directed to isolate by my primary care provider. Thanks to Dr. Dole at the district and head nurse Chris Bruman, I was able to obtain a second test through GIPS to clarify and to get a better idea of what my situation was. That in itself was, except for the test, really pain-free, and was a really nice way to get a second opinion and clarify where I was. And my experience with teachers, administrations, and activity sponsors was and has been currently very positive throughout my isolation periods. I've been given plenty of leniency as I've struggled through some exhaustion and other minor symptoms. And when I returned from my previous quarantine, I was completely caught up on schoolwork and I was able to stay on track. And I'm very grateful for the well thought out policies and protocols in place for students in isolation. COVID and illness in general are already extremely stressful for a lot of people, and not having to worry about schoolwork to the extent that some other students have to in other districts is greatly appreciated. Thanks are in order to the pandemic team, Dr. Grover, and the district as a whole for how seamless of an experience this has been. This does conclude my report, and I'll now take any questions that you may have at this time.
All right, are there any questions? Ms. Wolf?
Are you going to tell us the name of the piece and the composer?
It was on the video. I don't know quite if it came out. It was the music of stillness by, and I always have trouble with the name, Elaine Hagenberg. So.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments? Well, thank you for the report. We appreciate your dedication to be here, even when you couldn't be here in person, and we hope you and your family stay safe and healthy.
Thank you.
Yep. All right, we will move to 7.7, the superintendent report, Dr. Grover.
Thank you, Mrs. Hinkle. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay, great. And great job, Kendall, with his report. And I think he's just a great example of how to continue to achieve success even during the quarantine process. We hear that a lot from our parents. I'm going to share a few testimonies or feedback from our parents here, but it just goes to show that our teachers are still in contact with our students even if they're in quarantine, and just all the different creative ways that people are managing the pandemic. So speaking of that, we continue to meet with our community members. This week we had an opportunity to pull together the mayor, some doctors in towns, along with the chamber. We also had members of our board crisis team to talk about just sports and activities. Again, we always want to just make sure we understand the pulse of our community and to get some professional feedback. And it was a great conversation. As Kendall indicated in his report, we're continuing to move forward with our winter sports. And right now we do have most of our fine arts opportunities. They are virtual, but we did talk a lot about the students having the opportunity to participate in a competition in Gretna. We went through some of the protocols. I thought that was very interesting to look at how teams are managing the different competitions. So I think we'll probably be able to move forward with that. That's going to be a good first step for us when it comes to fine arts. Also, we want to try to get past just this Christmas break, but as we go into January and we're able to see where we stand as a community, I think our ultimate goal is to hopefully have something in person. We don't know, but we're continuing to engage with the community to try to figure that out on the fine arts side. But overall, our sports teams, they have been doing great, as reported. For us, the crowds and understanding of the protocols, that seem to be going very well too. So just proud that we can continue these experiences for our students. Also, we had quite a few questions about the flat water fracas. I guess that's the wrestling event. It's a big deal, huge deal. I have had a chance to go out and watch it. And we are going to move forward with it. It is still on for December the 19th. It will be at Gish and Walnut. It'll look a little different. We've scaled back on the number of teams. We're going to continue to follow the NSA guidelines, just in terms of how many spectators and so forth. But Mrs. Wells has been working with the other teams, 2 spectators per participant, we will still have no concessions. You know, one gym can support up to 5 teams, so some really tight protocols. Again, Dr. Dexter working with that group, but the event should take place. Of course, we continue to watch our substitute rates and just amazed at how our teachers are continuing to navigate through being here, as well as our substitutes supporting us. And so maybe just a little bit of an update. So Mr. Stelk, he noted that during Thanksgiving break, our certified vacancy fill rate had been going down before Thanksgiving. At one point, it kind of reached like the mid-70s. But as it stands now, as we've returned back this week, we have seen a 98% fill rate, which has been outstanding. So we hope to continue with those trends. It's just, again, people comfortable with the protocols in Grand Island Public Schools. And then you can see as things can go down in our community, and hopefully, you know, it's just, it all works together, right? Because our substitutes, many of them, they live here in the community too. So that's been well received at the campuses that we're able to get some of those positions filled. We had parent advisory meeting last week, and I think one of the main takeaways for me from that meeting, we have opportunity to kind of meet in small groups and people give feedback about their concerns. But what we heard overwhelmingly was praise for the Grand Island Public Schools teachers. And I do want to just take a point of privilege to be able to share that. Many of the parents, they talked about the teachers getting to work together for students if they had to be out on quarantine. One parent even shared that the teacher, even though she had packed up all the students' items to take with them, they accidentally forgot something. The teacher drove it to the parents' home so that the student could have it. They feel like they are very informed and they have different ways to meet with the teachers. And so I just think that our teachers have been resilient throughout this process. And I just want to highlight, because sometimes they don't get a chance to hear maybe some of those positive comments or that direct feedback. Today, I received an email from a parent who actually, they moved here from another nearby city for their student to be able to attend school in Grand Island Public Schools, and their student had to be out due to some illness as well as a death in the family. During this particular time, it really made it hard for the student to record some of the virtual events that they're doing with the band. And she indicated that the teacher rearranged the schedule just so that their daughter could be included, and contacted them like at 6 or 7 o'clock in the morning. And so she just wanted us to know that she and her husband both are very impressed with Grand Island Public Schools, the academic as well as the social emotional support that has been provided to their child. And so that's just kudos. It was probably almost a page-long email that a parent took out, of their time out of their day to share about our staff. So just want to say we're very grateful for our teachers and the way that they go the distance here in Grand Island Public Schools. We are gearing up for another break, and we're always calling for safety and how people think about the holidays. So we'll be sharing some information with our community as we move forward. Other ways that we can think about our staff members, we have Administrative Assistance Day is next Wednesday. Hopefully my person won't have to get their own gift, so I'm trying to remind myself. So if you know someone that work in those positions, just making sure we're giving a shout out to our administrative assistants on December the 16th. And we have our mid-year graduation on the 17th, and so excited about the mid-year graduation. So that should be on your calendar, and we'll be looking for ways to celebrate those students. And I do believe we have one other announcement. Speaking of staff, that will be coming out tomorrow. We will have a full press, but I get a chance to kind of, share it tonight because I'm so proud that Cherie Stockwell, who is our principal at Jefferson Elementary, she has been named the Nebraska Association of Elementary Principals. She has been named the Principal of the Year. Could we give her a big round of applause? Well deserved, and we will have a big splash about her tomorrow. Thank you all so much.
All right, thank you. We appreciate that. All right, we will move on to action items. The first one is 8.1 is the Grand Island Education Association 2022-2023 Master Agreement. Ms. Carter, anything you have to tell us or explain?
No, really, I guess if you have any questions, I can answer those, but it was presented in the October board meeting, and
Okay.
so just that thing that we do every year.
Yep. Anybody have any questions, Mr. Barsonis?
I just make approve the formal request that GIA recognize as the bargaining agent to the teachers for the 2022-2023 school year.
And is there a second? Second, Dr. Bros, any discussion? Thank you, Michelle. Please vote. Okay, motion passed. 8.2 is the fiscal year 2019-2020 audit report and annual financial report. Mr. Harden.
Well, I'd be happy to go through all 100 pages of the audit report, but I'm guessing that wouldn't be a good use of our time. So if you have questions, I'd be happy to answer them. I will point out a little oopsie doodles on the recommended motion. We never want to approve an audit. We always want to accept it and place it on file. So if you could just switch that word out with that phrase I just said for whoever makes that motion, we'll be in good standing.
Okay. Anybody have any questions? Mr. Brown.
Just for the record, I did catch that and I was going to make the change. Anyway, I would move to accept and place on file the fiscal year 2019-2020 audit report and annual fiscal report.
Is there a second? I think I heard Mrs. Albers say that. Okay, any discussion? Please vote. All right, motion passed. Let's go to 8.3, which is the 2021-2022 GIPS calendar proposal. Dr. Dexter.
Well, first of all, I had the honor to work with Mr. Mayfield, Mrs. Gordemaker on the policy committee, and they both came on to the policy filling very big shoes with Mr. Harms and Mrs. Schutz. So just truly appreciated you stepping in. You ask great questions, you provide feedback, just great discussion, and really appreciated you, your service on the policy committee. And Mrs. Inc. just always just so much appreciated your work ethic and your passion for GIPS. So thank you. So the calendar, we had as Virgil said, an oopsie doodles on my ability to count. We, at our last meeting with the calendar committee, we'd really tried to get done so that teachers didn't have to come back the Monday after the last day of school. And Deb Franklin is the best ever editor, and she's always so nice. She'll say, "Robin, I hate to mention this, but I think you missed a day." So I went back through it, and I did miss a day. So the last day of school for kids is May 20th, and then teachers need to come back on May 23rd for plan and prep. Other than that, everything is the same as presented.
Right, and I do believe that, I don't think you were here when we had our public speaker, but there were some questions on the snow days. Can you explain what those are or how those will work next year?
Right, and right now, we have not, there's been some discussion in other districts about, well, now that you have virtual learning opportunities, can you do that and not have to worry about snow days? But right now, the snow days, we have, the first one is kind of a given, so we don't make that up. Students have 3 days that they do not have to make up snow days, but teachers do by contract. So we just always build in the 24th, 25th, 26th, and 27th of May are considered snow days, and if we have to make up time. And we call it snow days, but it's really emergency days, because if you have mold, you have snow, you have tornadoes, those are when we would need to make up the days.
Any other questions or comments? Mrs. Albers.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the 2021-2022 GIPS district calendar.
And is there a second? Second, Mr. Brown. Any discussion? If not, please vote. Okay, motion passes. Thank you. 8.4 is the equity proposal from 4 Point Education, Mr. Harden.
Jennifer Worthington couldn't be with us tonight, so I'm picking up the agenda item. It was presented by Jennifer last month. We did make the change you recommended to the contract for the 18th. And so other than that one change, everything that was presented was exactly the same. So with that, I'll conclude my comments.
All right, and is there any questions about this? If not, would someone like to make a proposal? Or, I mean, a recommendation? Sorry, I read the word. Mr. Brown?
I'm not going to propose a toast like I've done in the past. I would move to approve the GIPS and Equity Task Force partnership with Steve Gehring at 4 Points Education Partners and allow the equity framework and resolutions to be placed into action.
And is there a second? Second, Dr. Brose. Oh, any discussion? Please vote. All right, motion passes. We will move on to committee reports. The first one is 9.1, Finance and Facilities Committee, Mr. Brown.
Thank you. I'll be reporting from our December 1st meeting. And with that, we heard from Mrs. Spellman from Nutrition Services. We had about 3,000 students get their meals sent home. That was the week before then. And we will be providing meals for the first week of Christmas break, but it's not feasible for the second week, but so that's just kind of an announcement. In the IT update, Corey loves to bring down the group, not just that we're worried about pandemic, now it's cyber attacks as well. So there's, as he quoted, 300 to 400% more likely to get attacks than in the past. Speaking from experience, our company did experience a cyber attack, and it is not fun to go through. We are working with Fortinet, and it's basically a 24/7. It's like having someone watching your network all the time and making sure that there's no suspicious activities. So this is kind of an update, but also just to put down Corey a little bit, because not good news. We definitely reviewed all of the depreciation fund, the special building fund, general fund, payroll fund, all those. Update on the federal programs. You got an update on the Marisco project. That's getting started off. We had a gentleman to present basically asset planning and management. I think it was about a 20-minute presentation, I think, on lifestyle costs and whatnot. So basically it's what we're going to be stepping into. A lot of information, but it's interesting to me anyway. On the facility planning, facilities master planning, Mr. Harden reminded us that we were supposed to have a town hall way back in April, which never happened, obviously, and that we probably have to kind of rethink that as we're going forward. So there's a lot of questions hanging out there for master planning for the facility, so I guess we got to figure out a game plan at some point here. Let's see. We did get a AAA minus rating for the upcoming bond, which is good news. That's a good rating, so we get good numbers back. And we did look at the Central Catholic Memorial Stadium agreement and offering up for no charge the use of facilities for the 21-2022 season because they didn't get to use it this last year for obvious reasons. We also had an update on the Early Learning Center and also on Stolly Park, where Mr. Petch and the contractor are still trying to figure out a finalized list of things to be done. My last item was that the Facility Finance Committee as a whole, both the staff and the committee members, wanted to thank Mrs. Inc. for her service and contributions for the last 4 years. With that, I can conclude my report. Our next meeting will be Tuesday, January 5th at 7:30.
Okay, thank you very much. Leading for Learning Committee, Mr. Mayfield.
Thank you. I'll be reporting on our meeting that took place, let's see, that was Tuesday, December 8th. We had a couple of very fascinating, very interesting presentations that day. The first one was from a couple of students in the Academy of Education, Law, and Public Safety, Jade Roush and Abigail Meston, sorry if I mispronounced either one of those, did some fantastic research that Jade was able to present to us regarding mental health in middle school and high school students. They did a survey of that mental health, received feedback from over 600 students, showed some significant concerns regarding mental health concerns students are experiencing on a daily basis. Went into detail about the stresses, the anxiety that students feel on a daily basis. A lot of those responses indicated that stress was based around homework expectations, lack of free time to complete work, and outside of school responsibilities such as taking care of families, working outside the home, working outside of school, part-time jobs. And so the presentation really led to a really good conversation afterwards. Some of the questions that were asked so that we mulled on and discussed, how do we alleviate the stigma surrounding mental health and increase access to those counseling supports? We talked about a later start time being a possible strategy for students not getting enough sleep. We talked about the roles that parents play in these students' mental health and social media as well. So just a very good presentation from a couple of our students, very eye-opening. And I believe that we've asked them to share the presentation at our next board meeting in January. So good information to look forward to. Dovetailing very nicely into that, Mr. Gilbertson presented some Grand Highlands Senior High student attendance rates, and the connection didn't appear obvious until we got a little farther into it. 42% of students are considered either chronic or moderate chronic, meaning that they've missed between 10 and 19 days or 20 days, 20% of the possible days. And of course, that level of absenteeism is a major concern, influencing the call to action. They reached out to students to try to figure out why those absences are taking place. And the students were reporting, 33% of students reported that school is stressful or causes anxiety. 86% reported that they feel overwhelmed. And a number of those, the other point was that a number of those students feel like once they fall behind, it's difficult to get caught back up. So we've talked about some action steps that are being implemented, some of the supports, including free breakfast, individual wellness checks, reaching out to families, wellness center services contracted through CHI so that we can provide counseling support, assigning mentors, home visits. And we talked about some options for moving forward, identifying additional interventions that we may be able to pursue, some potential academy attendance advisor positions, and assembling an attendance task force that includes not just school personnel, but also community partners. And again, there'll be another presentation to look forward to in July. Or January. Wow, I'm getting way ahead of myself. Then we heard from Dr. Tomjak, Ms. Warden, and Mr. Hauser on some information on the principal leadership cohorts. Principals at the different schools have been combined into 5 leadership cohorts, 3 focusing on the elementary, 1 on the middle school, and 1 on the academies. It's really a fantastic opportunity for our demonstration schools of rigor to be able to share some of the things, some of the training that they've been receiving with other schools, so that other schools that aren't part of that program can also take advantage of the tips, the techniques, the training that goes along with those. The cohorts, they have regular meetings, and the principals reported that they've really increased the cohesion and the ability to work together. So very, very positive responses there. Dr. Palmer gave a brief overview of our November 30th professional learning. Very good feedback. Most participants find that the sessions are of high quality. The sessions are valuable. They're relevant to their work. So professional learning is being well received. And then a brief overview of the purpose of the Tri-City Alliance. Not a whole lot there, but in the developmental phase, and more information will come in the future. And with that, I conclude my presentation. Our next meeting is on January 5th.
All right, thank you very much. Personnel Committee, Mr. Brown.
I'll be reporting from two different meetings, but first one was on December 3rd. We had an update on a proposal from West Lawn to use the Title I funds to provide targeted intervention to students on the primary grades who are high risk and not at grade level. That was an interesting little presentation. We had an update on the DMG and the budgeting, the strategic budgeting. They had professional developments on November 19th, and I believe on the 8th, December 8th, going deeper into the processing of completing academic return on investment analysis. As reported earlier, we had an update on the substitute teacher fill rate, which again, the week prior to Thanksgiving was dipped down to 75%. And then the week following the Thanksgiving break, so just 1 week later, after having off, we were at 91%. So very well-timed break. We had a staffing update, certified staffing. We had a request for a middle school teacher to be released from contract, and the recommendation is to approve that. The classified staffing, HR is, as always, recruiting several vacancies in different positions, secretaries, nutritional services, custodians, secretaries, technology assistants, crossing guards, nurses, and the head painter. A lot going on there. On the administrative side, Bill Johnson has accepted the network engineering position, and I'm sure looking out for our network. With that, I conclude my, nope, not quite. A second, we got one more. And then on the 9th, we met this week as well to basically decide we're not going to do anything in regards to the Family First Coronavirus Response Act. With that, I do conclude my report. Our next meeting is January 7th at 7 o'clock.
All right, thank you very much. 9.4 is the Policy Committee, Mrs. Gordemaker.
We met on Monday, December 7th, and we reviewed our minutes from our last meeting. No changes or additions. We were joined by Mr. Virgil Harden for quite a bit of the meeting, Chief Financial Officer. He presented us several policies. These policies are process and procedure that guide our GIPS operations. They were developed alongside the strategic planning process for the goal of adopting robust fiscal policies. They're all scheduled for, all of our financial reviews are scheduled for review in January. So all of these are so that we receive our rating from Standard & Poor, our bond funding rating. 4415 was debt management. 4416, financial investment management. 4417, capital asset management. And 4418, which was structurally balanced budget. I'm not going to pretend to even scratch the surface of understanding these, but basically ensures our sound financial policies. In summary of all these, Mr. Harden shared that GIPS has a AAA 0 negative bond rating, which is the highest rating that we can qualify for. Having these policies in official record will assist with recertification process in the future and will help us maintain our bond rating. We have several policies that we tabled and they're being reviewed by the Board Governance Committee. We will be they, not we, will be meeting January 11th, 2021. And that concludes my report.
All right, thank you very much. 9.5 is the Public Relations and Partnership Development Committee, also Mrs. Gordemaker.
Yes, here I am again. we met on Friday, December 4th. Heard about the beat on the street, which we've heard several times throughout this meeting, that the extra days for Thanksgiving were very positive and lots of good feedback. Mr. Planos talked about some of the communication department goals, and they have come up with 7 department goals that they would like to address, and we talked those over and gave some recommendations. We shared about the heartbeat and lots of positive comments that we heard on that series. We talked about some of our news that's been out there lately, and we kind of discussed about how much of a political slant we would like some of our public relations articles to have. You know, obviously being an election year, things are going to turn political, but sort of what we would like in the future. We discussed ways to add new PR committee members, and the board governance is going to talk about that as well. We talked about winter sports and communication surrounding that. And next meeting will be Friday, January 8th.
Thank you very much. 9.6 is the governance committee, and I'll give a quick report on that. We met on December 1st. We are starting to look at this board student rep role, and so Mr. Bartling was invited as well, because we want to see how we can enhance the role for both the Board of Education as well as for the student who is selected. And we have a follow-up meeting then on the 15th, this coming Tuesday, and we will also include Mr. Gilbertson from obviously the high school on that as well. And then we also talked about the December 18th Board of Education retreat for the 3 new board members, and then the 5 that will be remaining, or 6 that will be remaining, sorry. And so got all that ironed out as well. And we will meet again, as I said, on December 15th. 9.7 is the Grand Island Public Schools Foundation report. Mrs. Albers.
The Foundation's online scholarship application went live on December 1st. Students will be able to apply for 160 scholarships through this one application, and it's due February 10th. Other notable action at the November board meeting included accepted the fiscal year 2020 audit and the 990 tax return, placed them on file, and renewed the alumni liaison contract for the alumni newsletter for 2021. The Foundation Board also heard progress reports from the following committees: the Memorial Stadium Campaign Project, the Awards and Grants Committee, update on the student kindness requests fulfilled during the month, Board Development and Nominating Committee, update on board membership and potentially new members, and a fund number from the GIPS audit was $2,319,636, which was invested into projects, programs, and scholarships benefiting our students last year. And this number breaks down to $230.35 spent per student of 10,070 students. And if you want to see the Excel spreadsheet with the graphs, you just let me know.
All right. 9.8 is the Greater Nebraska Schools Association and Legislative Committee report. Mr. Harden.
Well, the next activity on the calendar is the morning of the 18th. 8, we'll have Senator-elect Aguilar and Senator Friesen in for a nice chat, just to say hi and hope everything goes well with the session. Just let them know our thoughts. Kind of a standard GNSA practice. We're all supposed to do that as members of GNSA. So that's scheduled. And as I like to say, the fun will begin on Wednesday, August 6th down in Lincoln. And so that means that starting every Friday at 2 o'clock, we'll have a GNSA Legislative Committee Zoom meeting, and that will continue through the session. And of course, our first GNSA meeting, I believe, is scheduled for the 17th. Should probably be Zoom, given what's going on with the pandemic, whether we like it or not. So that whole impact is there. There is some talk of a couple weeks in session and then breaking, hoping that there'd be some time going by so COVID could kind of quell down and they could come back with more normal protocols. But that's just in the wind. So that's my report. I'd be happy to answer questions if you have any.
All right, anybody have any questions for Mr. Harden? We begin again. All right, 9.9 is the Nebraska Association of School Boards. They send out a monthly report, and it's attached there for all of the board members to read. I won't go over that now. Item number 10 is the executive session for the purpose of real estate negotiations and personnel matters, because it is in the best interest of the public to discuss this matter in closed session. Do I have a recommendation? Dr. Brose.
I move the board convene to executive session for the purpose of real estate, negotiations, and personnel matters because it is in the best interest of the public to discuss this matter in closed session.
And is there a second? Second, Mr. Barsonis. Please vote. Yeah. No. Okay, I need a recommendation to reconvene.
So moved.
Ms. Wolf, is there a second? Second, Mr. Mayfield, please vote. What'd she say? All right, motion passed. We do have some action that needs to come from, or, action deemed necessary as a result of the executive session. 12.1 is the sell and purchase agreement. Mr. Harden, I think, explained everything in there. Is there anything else you need to say? Okay, so is there a recommendation? Mr. Brown?
I would move that the Board of Education approve the purchase and sale agreement with Principal Life Insurance Company for the purchase of Lot 1, Continental Gardens Second Subdivision, Grand Island, Nebraska, and that the lease purchase agreement and the reciprocal drive easement agreement for the same real estate be approved depending upon the closing contingencies being waived or satisfied, and further that the board president or the school district's chief financial officer are authorized to execute, acknowledge, and deliver such instruments as they may reasonably be required to carry out the intention of the aforesaid documents.
All right, and is there a second? Second, Mrs. Gordemaker. Is there any discussion? And just, I will say that because of a conflict of interest, since I do work for Principal Life Insurance Company, I will not be voting. But everyone else, please vote. Can we remove Mr. Barsonis since he's not here? Sorry. Nope, that's me.
Wrong one, my apologies.
Okay, there we go. All right, motion passed. Let's see here. Was that the only one you had? Or do you have? You want more? I didn't know. I just wanted to make sure. That's the only one that's on. Okay, all right. No, that's fine. So 13 is the notification of upcoming board meetings. As I mentioned earlier, we do have a board retreat on December 18th for the existing board members who will continue next year, and then 3 new ones. And then the next Board of Education regular meeting is January 14th, 2020 at 5:30 p.m. And 2021, sorry. Yeah, 2021. Thank you. We are adjourned.